Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle, me, in my series Freemasonry and Satanism. In my pursuit to try to find out what the heck is going on in our world. Some odd things are happening. A lot of videos on YouTube about the California fires. Apparently there seems to be evidence of some kind of assisted weaponry to enhance the fires, much like a laser beam directed energy weapon, pulsing lightning bolts. And apparently the military has these weapons. And apparently there are plans for redevelopment for that whole corridor where they had all those fires. Just a little weird, but a lot of videos on YouTube with these people pointing out the evidence. The same thing with the Las Vegas shooting. A lot of mysteries there. A lot of people were saying there were multiple shooters chasing people. One guy apparently was dead inside the casino on the floor. And they repaved over the parking lot right away. They're not releasing any of the video evidence. But weirdly and strangely enough, they released photos of inside the guy's room with all kinds of guns in there. And we have things like 911, obviously an inside job. The destruction of many countries in the Middle East, apparently related to this New World Order, New Age, and biblical prophecy. Remember, the Middle East, Northern Africa, the Middle East area, Jerusalem, now Israel, used to be Palestine. Formerly, in ancient times, it was the land of Canaan, the place of the stories of the Bible. The ancient pyramids and Sphinx and other monuments in Egypt. So it seems to be connected with the terror events all over the world, economic intentional collapses, destruction. Alan Greenspan even said that before Congress, that they were running a program called Creative Economic Destruction. Look it up. Don't believe me. Then, of course, Prime Minister Sharon of Israel, in a heated argument in the Israeli Congress, some people were saying, we can't keep destroying and killing the Palestinian people and destroying their homes and properties and businesses and orchards and everything. The United States will intervene. Prime Minister Sharon said, don't worry about the USA. We control the USA, and they know it. Then there is the USA ship Liberty that was apparently offshore of Egypt, concerning the Suez Canal. And the USA and Egypt were on friendly relations, and that irritated Israel, so they were going to, apparently, and they did, bomb the smithereens out of the USA ship Liberty while our soldiers were waving, saying, hey, it's us, we're your friends. And the Israeli jet pilots knew very well what they were doing. And apparently the U.S. Leadership, president, and other people of the USA covered the whole thing up. But they wanted to blame it on the Egyptians to disrupt relations. And strangely enough, from 1948 to 1970 or thereabouts, years ago when I began my research, the United States had donated, remember they control the United States, so I don't know if you can use the word donated, $90 billion to Israel. It was buying up stuff all over the world, when they didn't donate $90 billion to all the other countries combined. And then again in 1913, Christmas holiday, the Illuminati, Rothschilds, and other members of the bloodline elite conspired with their put-in president, the man they put in office, because the previous president in the United States wouldn't obey what the Illuminati, elite Zionist Jewish people were telling them, the communists. So they said, okay, the next president will be under our control. That would be President Woodrow Wilson. But they conspired over Christmas holiday to create the Federal Reserve, which wasn't federal. You got to like how they play with words. And controlled by foreign banksters. They controlled the USA and the USA money supply. Hence, they controlled the country. They controlled our politicians. Everything. And 6 months later, they were able to start World War I. I rather doubt they would have been able to do it if they didn't take control of the USA money supply. And for the previous 50 years prior to 1913, they did not control the USA money supply. There were presidents who fought against them controlling it, and they were killed and poisoned. Prior to that, they did control it for a while. So it's been a roller coaster throughout American history of these foreigners controlling our money. President Kennedy was opposed to it. Look what happened to him. Abraham Lincoln was opposed to it. Look what happened to him. So much going on. I've got the Encyclopedia Judaica. I've been reading from it. I've made many videos you can watch on anti-Semitism, on Zionism, on the Kabbalah, the kind of religion they have. And the Kabbalists in ancient times were called sorcerers, which of course means witchcraft. Magicians. So anyways, I thought I'd read from this book today. I'm continuing my investigation on WTH. What the heck is going on in the world? Why are they doing what they're doing? Why are they trying to destroy the different religions all over the world and apparently bring us a new religion? What's it going to be like? What's it all about? That's why I'm studying stuff like this here, besides all the other material, UFO, aliens, mysticism, Freemasons, New World Order, conspiracy organizations, secret societies. Try to touch base on everything. So the D. Jason Cooper, Mithras, Mysteries and Initiation Rediscovered. And I have to be honest, I've been learning some very interesting things, even after my research for so many years. So it is a huge task to try to figure out WTH. What the heck is going on? Why are they trying to bring us a new age, a new world order? Why are they pulling off the Las Vegas shooting terror events and all these other ones? And people are crying for gun control. Why are they using, if they are, directed energy weapons to destroy forests and cities and different places? Trying to bring about some new landscape for this biodiversity. You can find the maps on the internet. Even the Pope sent a letter to all the other churches and said, there's no reason for us to be divided any longer. What's he talking about? What does he know that we don't know? Why do they say the people are going to call on the aliens to save us for salvation? What's Project Bluebeam? Project Paperclip? Montauk Project? And so much more. So what is the religion? Who is ISIS? Why is the all-seeing eye Horus on the back of the US $1 bill? Who is Horus? Who is Osiris? Who is Isis? Who is Ra? Moloch? Mithras? This book. Marduk? All these gods. Who are they? So let me read a little bit from the book. Show you the picture. Apparently this is some kind of prophet or god, Mithras, who was born, he sprouted out of a rock. Apparently there were witnesses. Here's one of the church chambers you can see on the bottom picture here. Like I said, it's been a very interesting read. Mysteries and Initiation Rediscovered. The nature of Mithras. The nature of the cult, chapter 2. The Mithram, their church type building, chapter 3. The icon in the east, chapter 4. The degrees of initiation, chapter 5. The rituals of Mithras, chapter 6. The life and myths of Mithras, chapter 7. So I'm going to jump right ahead here to chapter 3. And I have read all this, you can see here. Been spending the last few days reading this book, along with a couple other books. So when I'm doing that, I can't make a video. I gotta kind of focus and ponder what this thing says here. It's kind of bizarre. The Mithram. A temple of Mithras is known as a Mithram, plural Mithra, which means place of Mithras. Just as the word museum means a place for the muses. Throughout the length and breadth of imperial Rome, the general layout of Mithra were consistent enough that archaeologists can now determine the ruins of a Mithram by its floor plan alone, although, as any general rule, there were variations and exceptions. So they had these tombs, I would call them, these small, tiny churches, like 20 by 40, smaller than your house. And they were underground. I got a picture here. And instead of seats, they had benches to lay on. So you went in this church underground and you laid on a bench, if you can see it. And while they were having the church ritual, this religious cult ritual, the lower initiates would bring in food and drink while you laid on these benches. So you couldn't come or go. They were really small, so the people who were going to be up front, the higher initiates, higher degrees, had to walk in first and lay on their bench and so on. Mithra were built on the ground. They were generally small structures consisting of a long, narrow chamber with a central aisle lined on either side by a high bench on which members lie during the sacred meal. So during their ritual, for all practical purposes, so we can understand, church services, they were to be served a sacred meal. The building was oriented east-west, with the entrance and often a narthex of sorts at the western end. So the western end, where the sun sets, would be the entrance with some kind of a archway we see in the picture here. Kind of different. I grew up Catholic, and when you went into the church, and I'm confident a lot of Christian churches have this, as well as other churches, but they had these pictures, or they call plates, showing scenes. So when you walked in, you'd see a picture here, and moving closer to the front, another picture, one in the back, and on the right, other pictures and other pictures and other pictures. They told a religious story. So in a Christian church, you'd see Jesus healing people. The next picture, maybe they were crucifying Jesus. Next picture, maybe he was rising from the dead. You could tell the story by reading the pictures. That's important when we go over this material on the Mithras, because that's how they did it then. So the initiates would look around the room and see the picture, and it told them something. Look at the next picture, it would tell them something. And so on, all the way around, about this Mithras god. And this was no small god either. So we do have to wonder, who is the god of the Freemasons, the Illuminati, witchcraft, sorcery, the Kabbalah, the Zionists, the secret societies all over the world, bringing us the New Age and New World Order, with the rainbow as one of the symbols of the New Age, and the rainbow as one of the symbols for the gay agenda. And of course, the sun is a huge symbol. So there's a lot of things we're going to notice when I go over this. The snake is a huge symbol. The lion's a huge symbol. At the eastern end was a knave holding an altar or altars. Here stood the icon of the bull slaying scene. The last item was the central image of the religion. So it took me a little bit of time to go through this stuff with a fine-tooth comb to try to figure it out, but maybe I'll be able to explain it clearly. But it says here, the bull slaying scene was the central image of the religion. More important by far than the crucifix or the Chi Rho monogram to Christianity. Oh my, they're saying this bull slaying scene was more important than the Christian crucifix with Christ being crucified. And these secret societies have been around for thousands of years, worshiping this secret religion. Don't you think we ought to know what it is? If there is any modern parallel, it is to the tracing boards of the 3 degrees of Freemasonry. So there's supposed to be separation of church and state. And a lot of Freemasons will claim that Freemasonry is not a religion. Well, I hugely beg to differ. It is a religion. They do have a deity, and the deity, as per Albert Pike and many others, it is Lucifer, the light bearer. So these Freemasons and other secret society, high levels, Illuminati, Rosicrucians, and other organizations that they operate in secret, Council of Foreign Relations, Heritage Foundation, Knights of Malta, Knights of Columbus, so many more, the Kabbalists, the Communists, the Zionists, the banksters, the elites, with their freakish parties. They get caught every now and then. They have these initiatory organizations where you start out as a low-level initiate and you go up through the ranks. Get your 2nd degree, 3rd degree. Some of them have 32 degrees. Some of them have 12 degrees. Depends on the organization. Mithraism has 7 degrees. So if there is any modern parallel to Mithraism, it is to the tracing boards of the 3-degree Freemasonry. In addition, there were niches for statues, murals, reliefs, etc. As in Christian churches today, these decorations differed from Mithram to Mithram. We don't know why Mithram, these little churches, were kept small. Some scholars have suggested that the small size of the building indicates a small membership. But there is every reason to discount this story. At times, only the nobles, at times not only nobles, but actual emperors of Rome patronized the Mithraism religion. Even if the overall number of members had been small, there would have been plenty of money for large, impressive structures. So emperors would join these Mithram religious organizations and go to their churches with these benches you lie down on where you have a sacred meal. Some small Masonic lodges, for instance, have had impressive quarters thanks to the gifts of wealthy patrons. So in many of our cities, we have huge Freemasonry halls, buildings, structures. Moreover, there are over 100 temple sites in Rome itself. So there's over 100 of these Mithrams worshiping Mithras in Rome. Stuff's been going on for a long time. It's a secret religion. They don't want to just have everybody join. They don't want everybody to know about it. Even if limited membership had enforced small numbers, small units elsewhere, here at least one would expect to find a larger structure. But even in Rome, the largest Mithram could hold at best about 50 people. Likewise, the one Mithram known to have been built above ground in London was also of modest size. The size of the group must have been theologically significant. And we know in witchcraft, those organizations are limited to 13 persons in a coven. So a little witchcraft organization has 13. Or more correctly, of occult significance. So the sizes and the shapes of these underground Mithrams more correctly have an occult significance. What's occult? Secret mysticism. Stuff they don't want you to know. Esoteric rites, let's just call it witchcraft, magic, seem to derive power best from the modest-sized groups. Extremely large groups cause a diffusion of power. So what were they doing? Were they having some kind of magic occult thing with these benches they lie down on, and the lower initiates bring in and serve them food? Sounds a little odd to me. Very small groups have less aggregate power. The size of Mithram may have been calculated to provide the ideal space for controlling numbers to maximizing occult power, maximizing witchcraft power, magician power, magic power. Remember, they want to bring the world a new world religion, and in the Christian Bible has something to do with the Antichrist, the Satan, the devil, and people who don't join this new religion. Look this up, don't believe me. The preferred method of killing them is by guillotine, executing them. And weirdly enough, if you go on YouTube or elsewhere on the internet, the government of the United States has ordered 30,000 guillotines. Over there in Dominican Republic, they got this big building that looks like a Mayan sacrificial temple that apparently the Catholic Church built. They won't let anybody go inside. When Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton were there, according to my research years ago, Hillary broke out in tears and said, "I can't wait to see this in action." What are they planning when they bring about some event? Catching all kinds of people who won't join the Luciferic Satanic Church? We see all the symbols today in the movies and programming and Super Bowl halftime shows, just like an Indiana Jones ritual over there in India. Crazy, you think? Go look at that Super Bowl halftime shows, satanic rituals on YouTube. Go look at some of the videos. Madonna, Beyonce, the Olympic openings, Lady Gaga, then the Emmys and Grammys and some of those shows with all the demons, even that tunnel opening over in Switzerland. They had demons falling from the sky with horns suspended by ropes, and seemingly naked people on train cars that were groping each other, having an orgy, riding past all the dignitaries, presidents, and leading people from all over the world who were just shocked at what they saw at the Switzerland tunnel opening. And the CERN ceremonies, and so many others, putting Shiva on the Empire State Building. Look this stuff up, don't believe me. You can find the pictures on Yahoo Image Site. And the goat on the Hoover Dam. I'm suffering from a little bit of a cold. Alright, so back to the book. Moreover, in a moderate-sized group, each individual member had a chance to participate in the temple's rituals and could be counted upon to know their part in the ritual. Ceremonially-oriented groups find modernization of script vital to maintaining the atmosphere of the ritual. And there is another religion that I'm going to investigate further. In the Zoroaster religion, which is a huge religion in Iran, by the way, but apparently is alive and well and has members all over the world, like Mithraism is alive and well and has members all over the world. In the Zoroastrian religion, priests are expected to memorize rituals and execute them faultlessly. And they do the same thing with the Freemasons. I've made a video on the Blue Lodge Handbook, 12 2-hour videos you can go watch. Trying to think which number. 61. Freemasonry and Satanism series number 61. I made a lot of videos on morals and dogma. What series number is that one? Looking at my bookcase. I don't see the book. It must be here in my office. But you can go to my website, rickmiracle.com, and on the left-hand side top, you'll see an icon that you can click that a list of videos posted on YouTube, and cut and paste and make yourself a cheat sheet so that you can print it out and watch videos on the topics that you want to watch. And also, it's the name of the book and the name of the author. So you don't have to just watch my videos. You can use the cheat sheet to go see these authors speaking on YouTube videos, whether these authors are dead or alive. Like William Cooper, he has many videos on YouTube that help further elaborate on this conversation about these different secret occultic religions. Since Mithra was a god of that pantheon, Mithraism probably held the same view. Alright, now we're getting into some more interesting stuff here. Both the Golden Dawn and the Freemasons, expected perfect execution of ritual. So if Mithraism is a ritual, the god of Isis is a ritual, the sun god is a religion, the Freemasons are a religion, and they're the ones controlling our government. So there is no separation of church and state. The Luciferic satanic forces have control of the state. This goes all the way back a couple hundred years ago when President John Quincy Adams and other people were fighting the Masons. There were two political parties in the USA, the Masonic Party and the Anti-Masonic Party, which was generally Christian. Of course, the Masonic Party was Luciferian. They didn't have the Republicans and the Democrats. That came later to divide us all against conservatives, against liberals. And they do that all over the world, pitting the liberals against the conservatives. And most people don't know that both of these organizations, the Democratic political party and the Republican political party, are controlled probably by these same secret society, Luciferic, satanic pantheon of God religions. Part of what we all think is mythology. So both the Golden Dawn, that's an interesting organization, and the Masons expected perfect execution of rituals. Wasn't Aleister Crowley a member of the Golden Dawn? Didn't he write the Book of the Law? And his communication was with the Hiowas and Lamb that look like gray aliens? I suspect they're really not gray aliens. They're these demonic beings mentioned in the Bible. So they wanted a perfect execution of the rituals. So if they were witchcraft or magic, I suppose you have to get the execution of the ritual perfect. And even during the Super Bowl halftime shows or Grammys or Emmys, when they were doing these satanic rituals, which are clearly satanic demonic rituals, the beings have horns and everything. A lot of people know this. You can go look it up on the internet and watch the videos, and you will get it. So then they perform these on the Super Bowl Sunday or whatever day they have it. You know, you got to think for a moment and go, oh my, if that was a satanic ritual and involved exercising some kinds of power. You realize they were influencing millions of people that day with the Emmys and Grammys and the Olympic opening and other rituals they're doing? Like I said, like the Indiana Jones rituals you see in his shows. Alright, so they wanted to have the working private rituals could use prompt cards in the Golden Dawn. So the Golden Dawn, they could use little cue cards. But this was considered inferior occultism. Occultism, I just say witchcraft for short. Secret sciences of nature, things they know how to do that the rest of us don't know how to do. That they've gone out of their way to make sure the rest of us don't know how this stuff works. Like the Christian church destroying the Library of Alexandria. All this ancient Gnostic information. Even in Mexico, when they went into the major city where Mexico City is now, couple hundred years ago, the conquistadors carrying the Christian banner made a beeline to the shaman's hut and confiscated all their religious artifacts, killed him, then started killing the natives and taking all the gold. But they made sure they got the information about the religion, the stuff with the shamans did and the knowledge they had. And all over the world they were bent on destroying the knowledge of the shamans. I guess there's competition even in these secret society religions. Alright, moving on. Alright, so using cue cards was considered inferior occultism. Certainly not suitable for public ceremonies like the Corpus Christi ritual. Likewise, Freemasons insisted that their officers knew their rituals, and much time is spent making certain every officer knew their part by heart. Like I said, my series 61, Freemasonry and Satanism, 12 two-hour videos. If you really want to be amazed while you're just bored with the ritual, go watch my videos, get a cup of coffee. I go through it line by line and detail it. And I think it's good background information if you want to figure this stuff out. Likewise, Freemasons insisted that their officers know their rituals and their part by heart. To fail in this was considered a serious breach of protocol at least, and magically ruinous at worst. Magically ruinous? Alright, what is this religion of the New Age and the New World Order? Like its size, the floor plan of the Mithras probably held some doctrinal significance or ritual purpose. I wonder why they didn't have seats, why they had these benches where these guys laid down. The pattern of a long central aisle flanked by high benches in a long narrow building seems to have been germane to the activities of the group. The London Mithras, for instance, maintained this characteristic design even when it was in no way necessary. In fact, only one example of a variant design survives. The Mithras near Ponza, which contains a relatively wide central chamber. The benches, called percipia, or cribs, so these benches were called cribs, were used by members to recline, not sit or kneel. The sacred meal would be eaten in this position. So you're going to eat while you're reclining. I study and report. Sometimes it just boggles the mind on some of this stuff. This arrangement also was characteristics in the Greek symposia, but normally symposia were held in a room in a house. Couches thus did not flank a central aisle. So a lot of us have seen the opulent chambers of elitist kings or whatever, And during their parties, they have these benches like what Caesar would lay down, and bowls of grapes and goblets of wine. They were all lounging around. But these lounges were all in a row like seats inside this little Mithram that was 20 by 40. Pretty small and underground. It is possible, of course, that we are faced with a bias in the remains we have found. We should remember Christians, when they got the chance, desecrated Mithram. So the Christians back then were desecrating the Mithram. That's interesting. You suppose these people into these Mithram religions and other secret society religions, Freemasonic religions, whatever deity they worship, you suppose they're seeking revenge? Or is it all just a big play for we the people? More chaos and anarchy. So the Christians burned the Mithram, hacked them with axes, dumped corpses from graveyards in the chamber, blocked the entranceway with garbage, and physically attacked and killed members of the group. All right, I'm going to skip ahead here. That such architectural consistency was preserved throughout the empire. So back then the Roman Empire was huge, and over centuries strongly suggest the religion had a central authority. That authority maintained the architectural rules because they had meaning. So if it was for some kind of ritual magic, they had to have specific design spaces and structures, like the Freemasonic lodges, and even the witches, when they perform their rituals, they have a 5-pointed star inside of a circle. And they're supposed to not leave the circle once they invoke their ritual, maybe call forth some kind of demonic spiritual being. I think it could be very dangerous for them. Surviving evidence seems to support the deliberancy of underground construction. The Mithraea were often decorated with pumic to give them the appearance of caves, and the terms used to describe them in ancient writings, spilium, spius, spiluca, all refer to caves. Another term used to describe the temples was crypta, which also indicates an underground structure. The caves symbolize the cosmos. So they're in this dark cave underground, 20 by 40. You can't get more than 50 people in there, if you can get 50. They lay on these benches, and the lower initiates bring in some food for a sacred meal. And the cave has holes in the roof. And sometimes at certain times of the year, a particular star can shine through. And it's supposed to symbolize the cosmos. The Mithram may thus have represented a miniature of the universe, acting as a symbol of cosmos as a whole. Their ceilings were often decorated with gemstones. Sometimes holes were bored through the ceiling, positioned to allow the light of certain stars to penetrate at a certain time and on a certain date each year. So if you want to go online, you'll probably find this book. I'm not trying to do a book review. This book was published 1996. Got another one I need to go over here. Let me get to the bottom of these mystery cults. This thing that's come into our world like a freight train that nobody can stop. With all the things that's going on, intentional terror events, 9/11, rumors about World War III, nuclear attack, EMP pulses, directed energy weapons in California, Las Vegas events creating all this terror so they can pass more legislation restricting our movements, and all these hate crime laws and incitement So they'll make saying anything about what's going on illegal, a crime, because you'll be speaking hate. Just like they call Christians hate now, if they don't go along with the gay agenda and transgenderism and all that. It's becoming quite hateful out there in this arena with these divide and conquer, the Hegelian dielectric war tactic. You cause some event so you can do something else like 9/11, which allowed the government to fool all the people and destroy all the countries overseas and spend a whole lot more money policing us, more technological advancements. It's getting crazy out there. And these people that I'm reading about are in control. Make no mistake about that. Whether it's the Zionist or the hierarchy, the high-level people of the Catholic Church. Not all the Catholic people. And the hierarchy of Zionism, not all the lower-level Jewish people. Matter of fact, a lot of Jewish people have come out and exposed a lot of this. Just like a lot of Freemasons have left those organizations and exposed a lot of this. A lot of people have died exposing the truth. The Golden Dawn used a similar structure called a vault. This chamber consisted of 7 wooden panels forming walls and a wooden floor and ceiling. The whole was painted symbolically. Occult power from rituals performed in the vault was said to remain in the vault itself. Occult power, witchcraft, from rituals performed in the vault, witchcraft, magic performed in the vault, was said to remain in the vault itself. So what do you suppose they did? You know, Aleister Crowley was using orgies, sexual orgies with groups of people to invoke some kind of a witchcraft ritual magic. And in Hitler's diary, it was written that they had abducted a young eunuch man in a young gypsy man in Munich, Germany, to have a sacrifice to bring forth a demon or being to impregnate one of the cult young women laying on an adjoining altar. According to Rabbi Marvin Anthelman in my series of books I made on his books, series of videos I made, and he was the leader of the USA Jewish Congress, Rabbi Marvin Anthelman. But he had the diary, and it's mentioned in his book, that the demonic being did appear when they sacrificed the gypsy man in Munich, Germany. But apparently the ritual of impregnating the young girl cult member on the adjoining altar did not happen. I know. Now we got aliens abducting people and impregnating them and all kinds of other stories and books. All these books right here on my right. So all the way down is just 100 books on UFOs and aliens. These books up here. I've been doing my research for 13 years, trying to figure it out. I thought we ought to talk about this Mithraism, if you wanted to know what it was. And there's a whole lot more in this book. I can't get it all in this video. But I'll read on and maybe we can pick up a little bit. And I'll make another video eventually. So occult power from rituals performed in the vault was said to remain in the vault itself. The cave-like design of the Mithraeum may have served a similar purpose. Stone construction, used even in the London Mithraeum, has long been held to conserve occult power. So the stone structure conserves magic power. And again, you note Stonehenge, ancient mihars or pyramids. So a lot of people know that stones can be charged up like a battery. They've been used in different kinds of emeralds and rubies and stones like that in rich Christian religions and other religions and in witchcraft. The ritual power of Mithraisms may have been enhanced by stone construction. By meeting in a symbolic stone miniature of the universe. So these stone underground things I just showed you were representatives of a universe. It's like a lot of people are into yoga and meditation these days. A lot of the Oriental, New Age spiritualism. You think it's just a coincidence that this is becoming popular? By meeting in a symbolic stone miniature of the universe, they may have developed their magical energies and tailored them to their own theological needs. As mentioned, the Mithram was normally oriented east-west, just like the Freemasonic lodges are, with the magical focus in the east. And what rises in the east every day? The sun. And they did have a religion with a sun god named Sol, S-O-L. We'll be getting into that. A lot of that's talked about in this book. In Caesarea, can't say some of these names, in Caesarea Maritime, there survives a remarkable example. The Mithram was built with 2 scuttles or skylights. The western one let in light to fill the antechamber. The eastern one was apparently positioned to allow a ray of light to rest on the altar at noon on the solstice. So it does talk about the equinoxes and solstice. Of course, the solstice is when the sun goes to its furthest point in the south. The northern hemisphere, that would be winter, December 21st, 22nd, 23rd. It kind of stalls out for a couple days. And then the sun starts to rise. Interestingly enough, these gods in these pantheons, these religions, these myths back then, those gods were born when the sun starts to go back towards spring and summer. Get it? The sun sets, the solstice, and then it starts to come back for spring and summer. And then in the fall, when it goes to the furthest point in the northern hemisphere, where we have our midsummer, that's the summer solstice. So the 2 points where the sun goes this way or this way. And of course, right in the middle is called an equinox. And you got an equinox from the spring, and you got an equinox when you head into the fall. So you have 4 points: solstice, equinox, solstice, equinox. And apparently these are major witchcraft holidays. And if I were to give you any advice at all, do not go look that up on the internet. You will not like what you might find when they give you some depictions and pictures of satanic witchcraft holidays. Suffice it to say, some of the pictures I saw involved naked infants and stuff like that. The one event they had in Las Vegas, or where was that, where they had the Harvest Man, where the one guy festival, I guess the Harvest Festival was Las Vegas. See what I'm saying? And then before that, a month or two, they had that straw man that was burning, and that one guy ran right into the fire. Another witchcraft holiday. So if you do look up witchcraft holidays, you'll get a list of all the holidays. But I will say, once you go to click a certain link or a website, and you see a picture that you might see, you know, they do sacrifice people and stuff like that. But it seems like a lot of these Terra events and other events going on the planet right now are during satanic witchcraft, Illuminati, secret religions and cults holidays. And they seem to be similar for all of these cults. That's my point. So just when I read that here, I was a little bit taken back. I said, man, there it goes again. So a certain time at noon on a solstice. The symbolic importance of this is reinforced by a series of holes across the arch of the ceiling in the eastern part of a Mithram. It would seem wooden beams were placed in these holes which if the beams maintained a constant width over their whole length, they would have met in the center of the Mithram in the image of a rayed sun. So that's something they use very often, is a symbol of the rayed sun. I'll put a mark here so I can come back to this. So even on the Statue of Liberty, Statue of Liberty, you can see my ink here. Okay, here we go. On the top of her head, she has these spikes. We'll be looking at some pictures. Statue of Liberty. I know this looks kind of silly, but if you look at the Statue of Liberty, you'll see these spikes on her head, a crown. And I have some better pictures to show you. But my point is, they're representations of the sun, the rays of the sun. 1,000 points of light that George Bush Sr. mentioned. Out of chaos and anarchy will come the New World Order. 1,000 points of light is the sun. Hence the sun god. Alright, so in the middle of this Mithram, if you can see that picture in the center, that is Mithras slaying a bull. That's the central theme, like in the Christian religion, Jesus being crucified or rising from the dead. Easter are central themes that you'll see in a Catholic church in the pictorials around the room. They had pictorials in these chambers that told the central theme of what's going on. Okay, and I've been learning all this, so as you're hearing what I'm saying, please understand I've been learning this myself before I could talk about it. But there are little pieces of information here that seem valuable and important to make us aware of what we're dealing with. So if you notice this picture, you'll see Mithras is slaying a bull, and you'll see there's a dog, I guess trying to lick the blood, and a snake on the ground, and apparently below the bull is a scorpion trying to take his claws and grab the bull's testicle. And then around the picture here, you'll see all kinds of small pictures, the pictorials that tell the story. And on the top is two fishes, the ram, Taurus the bull, the Scorpio, the crab. So it's the astrological signs in this picture. So that was another revelation for me. So if you do go on Yahoo image site and you type in Mithras, you'll see all these pictures, and there are links there to the website location where there's a page or a whole website telling you the story. Anyways, this Mithras character has usually in all the pictures two aides. They're called torchbearers. And a lot of times when you see Mithra, you'll see the constellations around him and the story. So you can clearly see the snake on the bottom and the dog trying to get to the blood. And then there's a scorpion down there trying to pinch the testicles while Mithras is killing the bull. Apparently this is all astrological. The bull that Mithras is killing is the constellation Taurus. The dog in the pictures is Canis Minor. The snake in the picture is Orpheus, or the constellation of the serpent, the snake. So there's more than 12 constellations of the sky patterns. If you go on Solarium, they have some buttons you can push and you can see the constellations in the sky. with the pictorials of the snake, or Canis Minor the dog, or Taurus the bull, or Scorpio and all that. Quite fascinating. Stellarium seems to have the best one that I look at. So again, in these Mithram churches, they have all these pictorials telling the story about Mithra killing the bull, something to do with the cosmic power of Taurus, and Casa Minor the dog, and the scorpion astrological sign, and the serpent Hydra astrological constellation. It's called Hydra. So they point all these out in the pictures. You can see the Casa Minor, I'm probably saying it wrong, the dog constellation, the snake constellation, the scorpion constellation, Taurus the bull constellation. And again, I was talking about the crowns that represent the shining rays of the sun. And a lot of these ancient beings, including Mithra, or the sun god's soul, has these spikes coming from the head. So the Statue of Liberty in New York is actually a representation, so it was seen, of Sol, S-O-L, a sun god. And maybe that explains why on the US $1 bill we have the Horus, the all-seeing eye, with the pyramid from Egypt, which is where they have the hieroglyphics telling the story about Isis and Osiris and Ra and Egyptian pharaohs in the Middle East. So the French Freemasons were the ones who gifted the Statue of Liberty to the United States. So they were displacing Christianity and presenting us with a sun god. Is that what happened? And if you go look at these pictures, there's a lot of information there. Again, in all the different Mithram, the Mithras churches, the picture in the background looks like the sky at night with all the stars. The two torchbearers are on each side. The Hydra constellation serpent is after Taurus the bull's blood. Taurus is also a constellation. Casa Minor is the dog constellation. And just like in a Catholic church, you have the pictures on the left and the right that tell the story about Mithras. Apparently there's one picture where he's sprouting from a rock. He was birthed by a stone, and apparently there were witnesses. You can see the two torchbearers. They were the witnesses to his birth. And those pictorial pictures on the left and the right are inside the little Mithram, the churches, and they tell the story like we can go in a Christian church and see the story. And up above there, I think you can see there is a moon god and a sun god. You can tell by what's on top of their head. The sun god has the rays, and the moon god has a moon over the shoulder. You getting this yet? And here he is being birthed from a stone. Again, whether you went to Iran, London, other countries, Rome, wherever, all the different Mithram, these small churches, had these things, these symbols on the left and the right, and the sun god, moon god. Like I said, you can go on Yahoo image site, read about this stuff. You can get this book. But there is a religion here. A religion that's been going on for 3,500 years. And as I've been reading earlier in that book, when Christianity was embraced by Rome, because Rome was losing its empire, its power, so it had to do something. So they embraced Christianity, and had the Council of Nicaea, I think, in 346 or something, 340 something years after Jesus' death. And they had a big debate about the Christian religion and what to do and how to integrate it into the Roman religion, which it seems this is what we're talking about. This is one of the underground churches, the Mithrams. But anyway, so what they did is they created this Catholic religion, which was a mixture of the stories about Jesus and adding some other details, like, for example, when was Jesus' birthday? They made it from the sun god or other god's birthday, which was December 25th. So a lot of people know that that's not really Jesus' birthday. Here's another one of the Mithrams. So the people would lay on those stone benches, and the stories about Mithra and his birth from a stone and slaying the bull and all of that, his other adventures are etched in stone on the sides. They had these things underground, so I guess they didn't want anybody to see what was going on. And they got pictures of the moon god, the sun god, the two torch bearers, the raven constellation. I think the raven is the first degree you get when you join the Mithric religion and get initiated. So it's a cosmic story. And Mithras is supposed to be assuming command of the cosmos. He has to kill Taurus, that constellation. And it looks like he's assisted by Hydra, the serpent, and Canis Minor, the dog constellation, and the raven constellation, and apparently by the sun god and the lunar god. Quite an interesting story. Here's one of the ruins. So like I said, this religion was going on for 3,500 years. And it appears it has a lot of similarities to a lot of the secret societies. And again, I keep repeating it, but you can go on Yahoo image site, look up Mithras, and you can see these pictorials that you'll see inside these Mithram churches. And it tells the religious story. And these are the stories that the initiates are supposed to memorize. And there are 7 degrees. Obviously here it looks like the sun god on top. And I don't know if they sometimes depict Mithra as the sun god. Alright, I got a little card here. I think I printed these pictures out a year or so ago. I've been studying this and reading different books, just questioning, what are these religions? Who is Mithra? Who is Moloch? Who is Marduk? I'm going over these things, and I'll continue to go over them. So some of the similar gods, Horus was born on December 25th. Horus was the father of Osiris was the father of Horus, who had mated with Isis, his sister. So his birthday was December 25th, born of a virgin, star in the east, adorned by kings, teacher at 12, baptized ministry at 30, and 12 disciples. So that sounds pretty similar to Jesus' story. And like I said, when the church embraced Christianity, they mixed their religion in with the Christian religion. It doesn't have anything to do with what Jesus said, or was Jesus real or not. I believe Jesus was real. I think they've twisted it around and are using it for their own gain. All right, Attis, born of a virgin. This is another god, Attis, in Greece. born on December 25th, crucified, died for 3 days, and resurrected. Attis. Mithras, born of a virgin on December 25th, 12 disciples. Krishna, India, born of a virgin, star of the east, performed miracles, resurrected. So the one in Persia, Iran, would have been Mithras. Dionysus, born of a virgin, born on December 25th, performed miracles. King of Kings, Alpha and Omega, resurrected in Greece. And of course, Jesus Christ, born of a virgin. So what is this new religion they plan on bringing us? What should we all know? So that looks like I can tell by the clothes. Mithras wears a Persian hat like a cone, and the sun god has rays on his head. So you start to get good at this after a while. You see, so the sun god is where the side where my finger is, and at the opposite end, with that outfit, that would have been Mithras with the cone hat. So again, it involves constellations. It has a great affinity relation to astrology. And here's a picture of him with the serpent around him, and he's standing on a I guess he's being sprouted from a rock here. And the constellation probably goes around him. He has a torch and a dagger when he's being birthed from a rock. And again, the main theme is him slaying the bull, something to do with the cosmos, the constellations. Instead of Merry Christmas, it's Merry Mithras. Here's him slaying the bull with the Luna, the moon god, and Sol, the sun god, above him. In Jesus was life, and life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome. So the artist often depicts Jesus with a halo of light around his head. Just comparing these religions, pictures I found on the website when I looked up Mithras on the Yahoo image site. You can see that the dog and the snake are trying to drink the blood from Taurus, the Taurus constellation represented as the bull. So all these pictures are there. Here's one that just shows the constellation, the two torchbearers, Mithras slaying the bull, the dog, the snake, and the scorpion trying to pinch the bull's testicles. And then you got the two torchbearers on the left and the right. And the sun's rays in the background. These pictures were on the Yahoo image site. And apparently the universe in the background. The sun god on the top there has a beam of light going out towards Mithras. On the left-hand side on the top is the moon god. And then the frames around the whole thing are the stories of the religion, and on both sides of him are the two torchbearers. And of course the snake and the dog and the scorpion pinching the bull's testicles. So what is Mithraism? What is this astrological story? Why does the sun god or the Mithric god have the same hat on as the Statue of Liberty? Why is she holding a torch? Almost done here. So these pictures were all different Mithrams, Mithras churches all over the world that this author or these people posted and Yahoo image site collected. And it does have the constellation all around the scene, the central theme of the religion. And apparently even the scene where he is birthed from a rock. And it's easy to tell who the sun god is with the rays on the head. So I had to read this for the last couple days, this book, and try to figure this out. I have more to read here. All right. Let the story continue. Mithras was a god of light. Remember, Lucifer is known as the light bearer. And the architect of his temples reflected this. Architecture of his temples reflected this. The Mithria were underground, not as the Christian writer Tertullian alleged, because they were veritable camps of darkness. By building underground, the Mithraisms could control how and when light was admitted. Just as a hungry man appreciates food more than a stated one. I guess if you're not hungry, you don't appreciate a bunch of food. So light is better appreciated in darkness. The Mithraisms could not create enough light to overwhelm the day, but by shutting out most light, that which remained took on its true character. So I would suspect if it was in the middle of the day and you were underground and there was a little hole through the ceiling, you would get this beam of light, especially when the sun was right overhead. Does that have something to do with some kind of magic? The Mithraisms could not create enough light to overwhelm the day. It is also true that in darkness, people have a heightened sense of expectation. The Golden Dawn, the Freemasons, and the Knights Templars all blindfolded their members at some point during the initiations. In doing so, the Golden Dawn and the Masons specifically stated that the candidate was being shown they were in darkness and were seeking light. The Mithraisms no doubt had the same principle in mind in their use of light. So I've been going over these topics. What are these secret society religions? And why do the initiates have to swear under threat of death, like the Freemasons, of having their throat cut if they divulge the secrets? What are we learning here? Why are they trying to destroy Christianity and the Islamic religion and other religions, as Aleister Crowley said in my video Freemasonry and Satanism series number 23, the Book of the Law? Do as thou wilt. And the second law referred to number 1. Do as thou wilt. No commandments. It's the opposite of God's law that says you shouldn't kill and you shouldn't steal and you shouldn't commit adultery. You shouldn't bear false witness. You shouldn't covet what other people want. In some of these religions, like Aleister Crowley's, and other ones even with the Jewish people, Sabbatai Zivi, I made several 2-hour videos on that out of the Encyclopedia Judaica. But these messiahs preached the anti-Christian philosophy and other religion philosophy of you should kill and steal and do all these perverted things. So some religions preach you should do good, and some religions preach you should do evil. And apparently on some of them you have to do something evil every day. And I'm not trying to say here that Mithraism is necessarily evil. I haven't formed an opinion yet. But I do know with these organizations swearing in secret to keep everything from the rest of us and obey their masters under threat of death. That doesn't sound too nice. So they can control the light, so they had these underground chambers. They had these pictorial stories inside these underground dark chambers with candle lights highlighting them. Must have been kind of really weird. Right out of a horror movie. Alright, the Golden Dawn, the Freemasons, the Knights Templar all blindfolded their members at some point during their initiations. In doing so, the Golden Dawn and the Masons specifically stated that the candidate was being shown they were in darkness and were seeking light. The Mithraisms, no doubt, had the same principle in mind in their use of light. So this ancient religion, 3,500 years, seems to be very similar to the religions of the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, the Golden Dawn, all these other secret societies, similar information and mysticism of the Jewish people, the Kabbalah of the Jewish people, and apparently the holidays the same as the Illuminati or witchcraft organizations, where they actually sacrifice people. And these are the people who are trying to bring us the New Age and the New World Order. Make no mistake about that. All these symbols are, a lot of these monuments are at the Vatican in some of their churches, the historical sites. All right, taking into account that much of the space would be obscured from the view of someone reclining on the bench, that leaves an effective stage of only about 30 feet by 7 feet. So this stage where this father, they call him a praetor, the priest, had only a small stage to control the ritual. At Ponza, the widest known Mithra measures about 20 feet by 30 feet. But for the part of that 20 foot in length, it measures only about 21 feet by. Moreover, the length includes a cult niche just over 6 feet. Though the sizes were not small enough to be cramped, they do lead us to certain conclusions about the kind of ritual likely to be performed there. So what kind of ritual would they be performing in this little stone underground facility with these candles all around these little pictorials, and in the center is Mithras killing the bull with the Hydra the serpent snake and Canis Minor the dog constellation, and scorpions trying to pinch the bull's testicles, another constellation. What does it all mean? What is this religion of the cosmos? What's it got to do with UFOs and aliens, the New Age, the New World Order, CERN, terror events, biodiversity, directed energy weapons trying to destroy the world we know it? Remember, we're entering a new era, Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. Remember that song? So this is a new age. So they have to kind of destroy the old age. That's like the phoenix story. The bird, the phoenix rises and it bursts into flames. And then it's all the particles and dust settles down. A new phoenix rises. So you have to destroy the old phoenix before you can have the new phoenix. And in the Eurovision in Europe, like the American Idol program, in 2014, Conchita Wurst won Eurovision. Wurst means sausage, a male part. Conchita is a female part. Get it? Had a face like Jesus and a body like a woman in a silky dress. And this Conchita Wurst character, male or female, I'm not sure, sang the song, The Phoenix Rising, which has the words in it, "You can't stop us." So they are using musical lyrics and all kinds of TV programming and media and terror events and everything to affect our society. And they're telling us what they're doing. And the phoenix is mentioned in this book also. I'm only reading a tiny portion, giving you a glimpse into this. And if you do go get the book or any other book on Mithraism, don't be reading it and say, hey, this is the reality, the truth. You have to use discernment, wisdom. You have to talk to God, pray, meditate, be sincere. As it says in the Bible, seek and ye shall find. Ask and ye shall receive. You start looking into this stuff, it'll unfold in front of you. Trust me, I know. I've been doing this 13 years. I've got 1,000 books in this room, and I keep becoming astonished when I get something like this and I go, oh my, this is connecting some dots. All right. So they were the size of these stone underground churches, mithrams, and the holes in the ceiling so a little beam of light could come through were for some kind of ritual. The permutations used in Freemasonry, the Golden Dawn, and Zoroastrianism religion, for instance. So I will be looking up and trying to find a decent book on Zoroastrianism. Apparently that is a significant religion alive and well in the world. And was practiced, and is practiced today in Iran. And we do know that Israel, apparently, through all the propaganda and plans behind the scenes, are bent on destroying Iran, just like they were involved with 9/11. So it seems, according to books I have, series number 8 or 9 on Webster Tarpley's 9/11 Synthetic Terror, and many other books I've gone over. So if these people have their own religion, these Zionists, these communists, these people who want to be the aristocrats of the world, like the Hunger Games movie. Sorry about that, my phone. I just had a thought here when I was looking at this book. But it says here, much more prominent would be the processions or two-person rituals, both which occur in a number of murals. So do you suppose that those murals are depictions of the ritual they would have in these chambers underground? So if you got Mithras killing a bull, I would hope that they don't sacrifice humans. Also significant would be rituals which could be performed while stationary. Prominent among these are confrontational or challenging a candidate, communion, and the sacred meal, all of which appear in the murals found in Mithra. So even in the Illuminati, when people had escaped and have come out and told the truth, what they tell us is the truth, there were some pretty gruesome things they did there, just like Hitler in that diary, sacrificing a young gypsy man. And just like if you go look up witchcraft holidays, you'll see the sacrificial events where they sacrifice people. The Mayans were sacrificing people. And throughout history, they were sacrificing people to these different kinds of gods and these different religions. So when I'm reading all of this, I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. Other than reading this book, I'm as knowledgeable as anybody else watching this video. Apparently, a lot of people all over the planet are waking up and learning this stuff together. Did they really use directed energy weapons to just destroy those communities in California? Were there several shooters in Las Vegas running around killing people? Was 911 an inside job, as it clearly seems? Did they fake the moon landings, as it clearly seems? Was it a conspiracy to stop President John Kennedy, who said he was going to expose the secret societies? And so much more. Actions by members on the benches would be limited. Rising from and returning to the benches frequently would have been inconvenient. So when they went into these little churches, these Mithram, They didn't sit down. They had these little benches they had to lay down. And some of the low-level initiates brought them in food. If headroom was a problem, then certainly the need to step over a plate of food would have been. So once they got on these benches, it wasn't likely they were actually going to leave these Mithrams. The praetor, that would be the father, the priest, more likely made a statement to which the audience gave a ritual response. So here they are in these stone underground small facilities, and the father, the praetor, would do some kind of ritual evocation maybe, and then all the people laying on the benches would say something. Can you picture it? Epithets of the god in terms like Neblaze or Nama, Persian for holy, would have been given responses. The rest of the structure of the Mithram would have various elements of symbolic import. We know they use symbols everywhere, like the sun rays on a lot of corporate logos. For example, the central aisle consisted in some cases of compacted dirt. At a Ponza or Caesarea Maritima, and in others of a mosaic as Osteta, where the floor mosaic gives the degrees an order and attributes to each degree. So there are 7 degrees, and I was reading about those a little while ago. I'm going to go to the back of the book right now and share them with you. The first degree is the Corax, the raven, and the planet is Mercury, and attributes would be raven, the caduceus, and a cup. And of course the caduceus is the staff with the 2 serpents going around it that they use in the medical establishment for doctors. So that's the first degree, the Corax. The second degree is the nymphus, and the translation is the bride. The first degree was the raven, the bird. So the second translation was bride, and that planet is Venus, and the attributes are the veil, the lamp, and a mirror. The third degree is Miles, representing a soldier, and its planet is Mars, and its attributes are the lance, helmet, and kipeg. So when you saw these symbols or these initiates with these items, like the lance, the helmet, and the kipeg, or the planet Mars behind him, or dressed like a soldier, that would have been the third degree Miles. The fourth degree was Leo, represented by the lion constellation, and the planet was Jupiter, and his attributes that you would see him in the picture, a person who was made it to the fourth degree, would be the fire shovel, the sistrum, and a thunderbolt. The fifth degree is Perseus, which is Persian, and their planet is the moon, and the crescent moon, the star, the sickle, and the hooked sword. The sixth degree is the Healer Domus, which is the sun messenger. His planet is the sun, and the symbols would be the torch, the whip, and the nimbus. And the seventh and highest degree is the praetor, the priest of the church, or the Mithram, or this cave thing, which is like the father in the Catholic Church. And his planet is Saturn, and his attributes would be a staff and a ring, a Persian cap, and a curved sword. Alright, just want to read a little bit more, try to finish this video. Alright, I'm going to skip over to my highlighted portion here. We know that the degree of Leo, I just read you the 7 degrees, was associated with fire. It would be remarkable if the other elements were all not also associated with degrees. If so, both the Mysterisms and the Golden Dawn used the same Moffat for lower degrees, though the two groups were separated by about 1700 years. and probably had a different order for the element and the Greek. I will say, for this research that I've been doing, as I do study these different things like Rosicrucian, Kabbalah, Theophist Society, and so much more, that I've been going over Jewish mysticism, witchcraft covens, and information, I'm noticing a similarity in all of them. Why does that not surprise me? So, ritual sanctuary, votive objects have been found in a number of Mithras. Among the most important and perhaps the most misunderstood are the statues of the so-called lion-headed god. So what's with the lion-headed god? The figure traditionally takes several forms, but most commonly that of a human figure with a lion's head. Around its naked body twines a snake. So again, think about the constellations. The constellation Hydra, the snake. The constellation Leo, the lion. The snake's head resting above that of the lion. Cumont and Vermaseren claim that this statue represents Aion, A-I-O-N, the god of infinite time, who in Persian literature is called Zervan. Zemnur, a scholar specializing in the religion of Zoroastrianism, believes the statue to represent Ahriman. More recently, Yancey has suggested, I'm saying these people's names wrong, that the figure is the Gargon Medusa. Remember Medusa? The woman with the 1,000 or 100 snakes on her head? The Gargon Medusa. So this religion that these people practice in secret, that even the Christians were trying to destroy them and throw corpses on the doorsteps back then, didn't think too kindly of this Mithric religion. And today, all these secret societies have their rituals and degrees in secret and have to swear under threat of death not to let the rest of us know what's going on. And we all can clearly see all the satanic and demonic symbolism everywhere. And apparently, we, the people all over the planet, are under attack right now. We know in Georgia, USA, they have these guide stones that say they want a world population of 500 million. You can look it up on the internet. Please do read what those guide stones say. And they're dumping chemicals in the sky. Seems like they're trying to redesign our whole reality, the planet, and sustainability. Even a federal report came out from the government today or yesterday. This is November 4th, 2017, that they declared that we, the people, are the cause of global warming. So this thing like in Las Vegas or the Denver shooting and so many more, they may be working up to the point where they want to disarm we, the people, and they do have a plan on depopulation. I've made videos on a couple books published in the early 1970s with their concern of population. And this is the new age of Aquarius. So they need to do like the Phoenix. They need to destroy everything before they can start rebuilding. They have all these advanced technological crazy weapons, including permeating our reality with all these electromagnetic radiations, even in the microwave frequencies. Just imagine yourself in a giant microwave oven. What can they do? What are they going to do if they did use a directed energy weapon on California? And if they were behind Las Vegas during the Harvest Festival, which is again a little bit demonic, if you know what the Harvest Festival is. Like the straw man. You think all that stuff in the news is just a coincidence? Anyways, he points particularly to similarities between the statue and a 6th century BC Attic vase painting of a gargon with a human animal face with a lion look attribute. So why in these Mithrams were these statues with lions' heads? Or heads like the Medusa with the many snakes coming out of it? Are these religions alive and well today? It seems like the Church of Satan, you can look this up on the internet, is the fastest growing church in the world today. And if you look at a lot of people, you won't find that hard to believe with the demonic tattoos and other symbolisms everywhere and all the crazy gay pride parades and all this other stuff. I was watching a video and this one cameraman was asking these people questions at a Raleigh, North Carolina gay pride parade. You can go on the internet and probably find it. Gay pride parade in October 2017, Raleigh, North Carolina. But the things they were saying, nasty words coming out of their mouth, the F word and so much more. And saying even that somebody was going to go kill Donald Trump and everything. I couldn't even watch very much of the video. I said, these people are crazy. And that's what they're doing. They're bringing us a crazy world. They want to destroy the existing reality. The phoenix has to burn before the new phoenix can rise. Conchita Wurst, Eurovision, singing the song, The Phoenix Rising, with the words, "You can't stop us." It's so much symbolism everywhere, these rituals. This magic stuff is real. And then they kind of say now, I think one popular person said that people are going to beg for the aliens to come and save them. And a statue in which lion-headed God has a gorgon's head on its chest. The figure on the chest could also be a lion. Ulansey suggests the statue represents the power of Mithras to overcome his enemies. So are we Christians, and I guess even the Islamic people, all the people who are not part of these occult organizations, is there plans for this new world order like a Hunger Games movie? And are we the people, the enemy? Are we under attack? Is this religion real? Just as Perseus, the model for Mithras, overcame Medusa. In this case, however, a cosmic power is attributed to Mithras. So where do the aliens come from? Reptilians, gray aliens, orbs, and all these other beings from the cosmos. What does it mean with all these astrological constellations? You think it's all just made up and a joke? Why is channeling popular now? Why are so many people into astrology? So many well-known people publish brand new shows every day talking about this sign or that sign or where we are today. People are following that like an addiction. Back to the book, page 47. With all due respect to these individuals, though they are not academics, not one of them is an occultist. So all these academics who are talking about this religion and theorizing, this author is saying, what do they know? They're not occultists. So from me reading this so far, I can conclude that the secret societies like the Freemasons, like the Golden Dawn, like all these secret societies, the Mithras religion, the Kabbalah, mysticism, they're into the occult, and another word for occult, to simplify it and understand it, is witchcraft, magician, sorcerer. So this all ties together. These people are performing magic with these rituals. That's why they do those rituals during the Super Bowl halftime show. Millions of people are watching, and they know not what they see. Back to the book here. So this author is saying these academics can't really explain what's going on with these Mithras religious locations, because they're not occultists. They cannot see what an occultist would see. For there to be both a degree Leo the lion and a lion-headed statue must indicate a connection between the two. So when you talk about occultism, you are talking about astronomy, astrology, which is an interpretation of astronomy, planets, constellations. And they have all these fear videos on YouTube when we have certain alignments or blood moons. It's been going crazy for the past few years. I think a lot of people will agree, all this fear tactics, fear propaganda. The end of the world is coming. So this is why I'm reading this. I think if you read about Mithras and these other religions and channeled material and the other stuff I'm going to go over, I think if you educate yourself and you learn a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, you start to get an epiphany. You start to get this little light bulb in the top of your head and you go, I know what's going on. And that's why I appreciate so many people leaving comments on my videos. You've been helping me a lot. There's so much here to try to get your mind around. I need a little help. We all do. It is obvious enough that if connection were denied, rupture would have occurred in the group. Some Masons, Freemasonry, on reaching the Royal Arch degree are, turn the page here, disturbed by revelation of the word Jabolon. So here I made all those 12 two-hour videos, Freemasonry and Satanism, series number 61. And Jabolon is mentioned in there as a secret password. And that's coming right out of the Jewish religion and the Kabbalah, the ancient text. So it is tied together with what 911 and what's going on in the Middle East today. All this is connected. This is not indicated in the first 3 degrees, and many find the synchronism of the degree disturbing. It has led to the resignation and revelation of Masonic secrets. So even in Freemasonry, a lot of people have resigned and written books and exposed a lot of these things, like Albert Pike declaring that Lucifer was their deity, the Theophist Society, Helena Blavatsky, Annie Besant, Alice Bailey, and so many more, even publishing the magazine, Lucifer Magazine, with the Lucifer Publishing Company, now called Lucas Publishing Company. You can look it up on the internet and Wikipedia. So we do have a demonic, satanic, Luciferic, and many other name-type religion operating in the background by the elites that control our world. And apparently it involves the United Nations. I made a video on that. Had such a rupture occurred in Mithric circles, the Christians would certainly have preserved a record of it. So like I said, this religion was 3,500 years old at least. And of course Rome was falling, so it embraced Christianity and it mixed it up with the pagan religion that brings us the Catholic religion we know today, which a lot of Catholics are unaware. They are good people and they go to church and they pray to God and they try to be good. But they know not what the higher level people do, the leadership. Look at the Vatican. Go look up a picture of Lucifer in the vault. The telescope they installed in Arizona, USA. And the telescope name is Lucifer. Look this stuff up, I say. Don't believe me. Why would they name the telescope Lucifer? What are they looking for in the heavens? Why are they giving us all this fear-mongering about a pole shift and planet Nibiru and that alien beings, the Anunnaki, created we the people this human race, or the story in the Bible about the fallen angels, the Watchers, finding the women fair on planet Earth and mating with them, creating all these giant beasts. What is the truth? To understand the statues better, we have to realize they are not all lion-headed, and that what appears great inconsistency between them reveals a significant, and once it is understood, obvious meaning. All right, so what is this with the lion-headed statues in these Mithric churches called Mithram, worshipping Mithra? It is an esoteric key to the concept of adeptship among the Mithraisms. And I've gone over books on getting initiated, Rosicrucians and all that. And I'll continue going over that stuff. Just a ton of stuff you got to go over to try to pin it down. In all initiatory bodies, there is an adept degree. So all these organizations, like the Freemasons, they got your low degrees, and then you get your advanced degrees. At this level, the student has mastered the lessons of the group and internalized them. The student has become one of the teachers, but more important, has taken the next step in human evolution. So many people are into meditation now, yoga, and all these other groups. And they're promoting that we people should return to some kind of primitive state. But meanwhile, they're building all these microwave transmission systems, smart meters, 5G network, directed energy beam lasers on planes. You can go look that up and see the videos and the pictures. Even the huge companies manufacturing them have whole pages dedicated to that technology. It's real. Star Wars. Oh Lord, if these people are into some kind of demonic religion and they really want to depopulate the planet, what is to stop them? And they're willing to do if they did Las Vegas event or the recent event of burning California while they're flooding Texas and Florida with hurricanes that a lot of people are saying are weather-controlled situations. And all over the world there are these accusations and people providing evidence. Are we all supposed to just ignore this stuff and say, no way, it's not happening, it couldn't be happening? But then we see some of this crazy stuff happening right in front of us. We have to address it. Are they controlling the weather? And like the federal report that came out in the last day or so saying that we humans are the cause, why would they do that? What are they trying to justify? What kind of legal action and laws are they going to take? Can they legalize depopulating the planet? We're entering the new age of Aquarius, I keep saying. Something's going on. From my research, they planned and initiated World War I, World War II, the Russian Revolution, French Revolution, Chinese Revolution. How many millions or billion people have died so far? Depopulating Africa, depopulating the natives from South America, Central America, the North American Indians. The many statues are representations of this state. Though the statues differ in many ways, the lessons they teach remain the same. South of the Alps, I guess that would be the Swiss Alps, where they had that opening for that tunnel, which was clearly a demonic ceremony. Demons falling from the sky with horns, and train loads of naked people groping and having an orgy, while it rolled past the dignitaries from all over the world. And the CERN ceremony, you don't have to look. Even the TV programming, the TV show Gotham or the TV program Lucifer, and many others, Modern Family, Seinfeld, 2.5 Men, these leading male characters having sex with a different woman in almost every program. And now in the news, all these famous movie star people are coming out because they're being accused of groping or rape or whatever. What is going on? Why would they be doing this? The media only puts out there when they want something to go their way. I know I could show you pictures of my comments on press releases, and people will accuse me of being a lunatic or crazy, and I'll try to type in a comment and say, well, let me explain or tell you this, and the comment section on these press releases on the internet will not accept me defending myself. And I take pictures every time they do it. I grab my camera, and I'm going to have a video and show how many times, and even on all my videos on YouTube, they demonetize them, even if they're about chemtrailing. So there is an active information war going on. And again, this is about Mithraism, this religion, secret society, been around before Christianity. We've been going over the Kabbalah, we've been going over mysticism, we've been going over secret societies, channeled material, all these psychics. So we should be going over this. We should be going over the Nibiru, Anunnaki, Marduk. And I've been going over that stuff. All right, I just checked my time. Got 10 minutes to make 2 hours, so I'll try to wrap this up. And again, it's just a conversation. And I want to talk about more material in this book and other secret societies and the symbols that they're putting out there in movies and all these movies about pole shifting, earthquakes, tsunamis, comets crashing into Earth, World War Z, World War III, aliens and all this. What is the truth? And obviously it's not beneficial to the reality and society we have today. It seems like somebody's trying to destroy everything. South of the Swiss Alps, the lion-headed god is portrayed in a statuary as a human figure with a lion's head, entwined by a serpent. The figure stands on a globe, which often has 2 bands around it. So the 2 bands would be the equator and the Milky Way you can see in the sky. Those bright lights, if you go out to someplace in the woods, see the whole Milky Way. If you don't know what the Milky Way looks like, go on the internet. It's fascinating to look at. I went to the Grand Canyon and had to get up to go to the bathroom at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was sleeping in my truck when I went out there. And I looked up and I was stunned. The Milky Way galaxy was as if it was right there. The whole thing. So anyways, they have a globe with the Milky Way on it and the equator with this statue of a lion-headed man standing on it. What do you suppose this means? In either hand, he holds a key. Over his heart is a small lion's head. Either 2 or 4 wings sprout from his back, or sometimes from his hips and lower back. So you got this man with a lion's head and wings on his back standing on the globe of the earth with 2 bands representing the Milky Way, the cosmos, and the equator on earth. Sometimes the body is covered with the signs of the zodiac. North of the Alps, Swiss Alps, however, and in the Dunaby area, no lion-headed figure has ever been found. In statuary found in German areas, by contrast, the figure has a human head. In some cases, instead of a lion's head, over the heart, there is a thunderbolt. But the other elements, keys, globe, and signs of the zodiac remain. So like I said, when you look at the Freemasons, you go watch the videos, you go on Yahoo image site, and you put in Freemasons and see the pictures. Get yourself a notebook and write some of these common symbols down. Signs of the zodiac, sign of the sun, sign of the moon, lion's head, serpent, all-seeing eye, pyramid. You're going to see it and see it and see it. You've got to ask yourself, if you're any kind of a intelligent human being, concerned about what appears to be going on in the world, what does it mean? I don't think we were born to be idiots, zombies, morons. We're supposed to be intelligent beings. Maybe living on planet Earth is a test, giving everybody a choice to be an intelligent being or not. How many people join these secret societies? How many of the politicians and all these movie star characters are coming out or getting caught? Pizzagate, child pornography, and so much more. How did this happen? What kind of religion are they into? A snake still entwines the figure. He may still hold the staff. These are not two similar figures, but two versions of the same figure. So that was one of the things I have to say since I've been reading this book, and I'm almost finished reading it. I'm back to the initiation rites of the initiates, which there are 7 degrees I went over. And I could see a lot here tying things that are going on in the world and a lot of secret societies, Freemasonry, Golden Dawn, Rosicrucians, the Kabbalah, Theophist Society, all these satanic rituals, the constellations, astrology. So it was kind of an enlightening thing to me. Was I initiated into some secret knowledge? Are you being initiated by watching my videos into some things that they don't want you to know? And again, when people leave comments on my videos, I appreciate it. I've gotten a lot of contributions. I made videos on some of the books and PDF books I found on the internet that I couldn't buy. They were too expensive. People would say, oh, you can find that book on the internet, free PDF. Like The Cause of World Unrest. Please go watch that video I made. Series 150, Freemasonry and Satanism. What do you think the cause of world unrest is? Or Germany Must Perish. It's video number 124. Why before World War II, about 4 or 5 years before, were the wealthy Jewish people all over the world writing books and taking out pages in the major newspapers saying that every German man and woman and child should be put to death because they had bad DNA? What is going on in the minds of these people, apparently into these secret cults? With that said, and my time running out, thank you for watching my video, Rick Miracle Reporting. And if you like the work I'm doing, there is a donate link to my PayPal. And I could appreciate some donations to try to further my program. Well, one thing, I'd like to try to publish a book. I've been cutting and pasting everybody's comments for 4 years. I have well over 200 pages. Probably when I'm done about 300 pages, then I have to read it, edit it, and add in my own statements to a lot of it, explaining things. So it could be more than 300 pages. Thank you for watching my video, Rick Miracle Reporting.